many people. And if we could just get on the same page, I think we'd be living in a beautiful world, but maybe that's pretty idealistic. But thank you, though, for taking the time to chat with us and being here with us on the second annual Passionistas Project Women's Equality Summit. Now,
thank you.
From you, I personally have learned a lot about equality and what to do about it. So I'd like to go ahead and start the discussion because you mentored me, not only as a comic, but also my activism. And I want to just share about that because I do think a lot of people stand to benefit from our discussion. Now, you have been called the patron saint of outsiders. And that is sincerely a quality of yours that drew me to you, even before I ever met you. Because as a disabled Mexican immigrant, I've always felt isolated and alienated from society. And so I became a performer as a way to force society to acknowledge my existence. And when you came into my life, you were the first person I'd ever met in showbiz who told me that my story was equally valid and that I also had the right to be heard as much as anyone else. So this is how you helped me in my journey into stand-up. So, I've seen you mentor a bunch of performers and non-performers alike. So is there someone in your life that did that for you? And what compels you to elevate the underdog and help them work it out through stand-up?
Well, thank you. And I am really lucky because I had great mentors, people like Joan Rivers and Jerry Seinfeld and Robin Williams and Rosie O'Donnell and Whoopi Goldberg, people who always encouraged me, who were always like in the wings, just like saying, keep going. It's great. It's great. Keep fighting. And, your story is valuable. Your story is needed. And I feel like it's kind of really our responsibility in comedy to mentor each other, especially women, because there's so few women in comedy. And it's like we're also in demand because we're so busy. There's so few of us. So we rarely get to know our own community within our community. And so it's a really weird thing. It's very isolating. But I think as many opportunities that I can reach out to younger comedians to help them feel supported and seen, it's really valuable. And then I learn from them. Like I learn so much from young people now who are explaining to me everything that's changing in the world. We have an entire generation who's grown up with the internet, which is really a different experience, whereas we had newspapers and silly putty and what else?
Yeah, we were like magazines, records, newspapers. I mean, the internet. We didn't grow up with it, and I remember if you wanted to learn about counterculture, you had to physically go out into the world and find it and participate in it. There was not. You just had to go out and discover it on your own.
It was not something you could search for online. Like you would have to go to, I would go to Vermont Street and there was a Muck and EK, which had zines. And I would read those and I would actually correspond with some of these zine authors and actually write letters to Dan Klaus, who was drawing 8-Ball at the time, writing into the letters to the editor, things like that. Like it was just so much a very slow society, but we really appreciated our otherness because we only had each other. And now there's like a whole lot of ways to connect with people that are like-minded. And then that can be very good and it can be very difficult and negative too. But you find a place of oneness, even if you feel isolated and alone.
Yeah, I totally relate to what you're saying, being the same generation. And I know I would have benefited tremendously having a community to turn to. But I'm conflicted because being who I am, then I think I would have gotten lazy without having the need to go explore the world on my own and finding my independence.
Right.
I think if the internet happened when we were kids, I don't know that I would be the independent person I am today.
Yeah, we may not have appreciated it as much because it was all right there.
Yeah.
You know? Just in the ways I notice a lot that Gen Z really idealized Gen X. Not necessarily millennials, but Gen X in particular, because we were like before smartphones and before.
Yeah, I mean, we're like the very last, generation of, I guess, horse buggies, or we're the final analog generation. I mean, we should be called the analog generation, analog.
Generation analog, because we really I used a typewriter. I used a typewriter to, and not even a word processor. I used a typewriter for like letters. I would use a typewriter I had my dad's typewriter, so I would use it for like writing. I actually had a typewriter, but I didn't have any paper for it. It was just like a decor. I also have a telephone, like an old Bakelite telephone with like a ring, the rotary, and I have no phone line.
Oh yeah, there's no way.
It's like I have like plugs in the wall, but it just goes to nowhere. That would be really spooky if you plugged it and you could actually call somebody from like 1992.
That's
scary.
I'm already
That's
scared.
really scary.